Hello, this is Accounting 1. We are on Chapter 3, Lesson 2. This lesson is called Journalizing for Buying Insurance, Buying on Account, and Paying on Account. In Lesson 1, we learned what the journal was and that we are going to be journalizing, and we talked about the 5 steps every time you journalize. These have not changed. First, we will record the date. We will record the debit amount, the credit amount, and finally the source document. So if you're in my class, you should have your journal that I printed out for you for your notes. If you don't have this, you can go on the class website on the calendar and print it out. Or all this is the transactions from the book. I have just listed them out onto a journal so that then you can reference back to them. So we're just going to pick up where we left off with Lesson 1. And the first one we're going to do today is on August the 4th, we paid cash for insurance of $1,200. It was check number 2. We're going to start with the date, so I'm just going to put a 4. We don't have to put the year and the month again because that's coming straight down. I'm going to look for my debit amount. Paid cash for insurance. Well, insurance is prepaid insurance, and that is an asset. And an asset's going to increase with a debit, so that's going to be my debit account as my prepaid insurance. So over here, nope, we don't have a special account for prepaid insurance, so it's going to have to go under the general debit. So I'm going to put prepaid insurance. Here, and the amount, which was for $1,200, I'm going to put in the general debit. And then for my document number, that's going to be my source. How do I know that this happened? We wrote a check to, so it's going to be C2. Okay. Oh, I skipped the credit. I hope you guys caught that. I have a debit of $1,200. I need a credit of some sort. So what did we do for our credit? Well, we paid cash. Cash is an asset. An asset will decrease with a credit, so it's going to be a cash credit, and there is a special column for that, so my $1,200 goes over here. Now my debits and my credits equal, so I can be done with that transaction. Okay, moving on. The second thing it said we were going to learn is how to journalize if we bought supplies on account. Now remember, if we buy supplies on account, that means we are increasing our supplies, but we're not spending any money. We're not paying for them right now. We went into the store and we said we're going to take this paper, but charge it to us. We want to pay this later. So nothing is going to happen to cash. So let's go ahead and analyze the transaction. On August the 7th, we bought supplies on account from Supply Depot of $500. It was memorandum number 1. Okay. Well, easy. I know this was the 7th of August, so I'm going to put my 7 in here. I don't know if you guys can see my pencil writing. I'm going to switch to a pen. Okay, that should show up better. Okay, so we bought supplies on account. So supplies. Supplies is an asset. An asset increases with a debit. We bought supplies, so we're going to increase our supplies. So there's our debit amount. Supplies. Okay, do we have no special account for supplies? So I'm going to put supplies here. And that was for $500. So it's going to go in the general debit of $500. Okay. Credit. Which account's going to be a credit? Well, it was on account from Supply Depot. So that means we're paying for it later. So that's an accounts payable. Because typically anytime we buy supplies, we're either going to have an accounts payable or we're going to have cash. Since we didn't pay for it yet, this is accounts payable. Now there's not a special column for this one either. So for this transaction, we're going to have to actually take up 2 lines. It's the first one we've had that did not involve at least one special account. So under supplies on the second line, we're not going to put the date again because it's still part of the same transaction. So we don't need to put the number 7. But we're going to list the name of the account, which is accounts payable. dash supply depot, because we need to know who we have to pay for this. And my handwriting is too big to fit in the box. Okay, how much is it? Well, that's going to be a credit because we owe them money. And so that is a liability that we're increasing. So it's going to go in the $500 general credit. Okay, it was memorandum number 1, so I'm going to come back to my document number on the top line, the line that had supplies, and I'm going to put an M1. My debits match my credits, so I can go on. Okay, the next one we're doing is if you pay cash on account. So we bought our supplies and we charged it, but we need to come back in and pay for it. It's been a few days later, so this is August the 11th. So I'm going to put the date of the 11th. I'm looking for my debit amount. Paid cash on account. That's my clue to what my two accounts are. So paid cash on account to Supply Depot of $300. This was check number 3. So paid cash. Well, that's going to be a credit because cash is an asset and it's decreasing. On account. On account, that's an accounts payable. That's a liability. We want to decrease our liability because we don't owe as much money. So we're going to decrease a liability as a debit. Okay, there's our debit account. So I'm going to put accounts payable. And I'm going to abbreviate this time. Accounts payable, Supply Depot. Because we need to know that we don't owe Supply Depot. You can't just leave it accounts payable. You have to put the name of the company. And that's going to be a debit for $300 because that's all we're giving them right now. Okay. What is our credit? Well, we already decided cash was our other account. Cash is our asset. It is decreasing. An asset decreases as a credit. Anytime we pay cash, it's a cash credit. So I'm going to come all the way over here to my cash credit and put $300. Cash does not need its own separate line because it has a special account. This was check number 3, so I'm going to come to my document number column and put C3. Okay, that was super short. That is the end of that section. You may be wondering, how did I know which accounts, what the account titles were? I know that information because I looked at the chart of accounts. So for every business you work with, you should have a chart of accounts. That was the list of all the accounts we had. We learned about that in Chapter 2. And if you want to know the one for Techno Consulting, it was at the front of the book. I can't remember exactly which page, maybe 3 or 5, somewhere like that. Actually, it is on page 3. So this, if you can see that, is where I know what my accounts are called. And every one of your assignments that you do should show you a chart of accounts for the business you are working on. So for this one, we didn't have any terms to review. There was just 3 audit your understanding questions. Those were pretty simple. It just pretty much goes over those 3 items that we did. So tomorrow we will work together on your own and your application problem. See you then.